Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyman Prepping. It's Friday. Everybody's getting ready for the weekend, do some good work, take some rest, relaxation, spend some time with the family. Hope we all have time to enjoy that this weekend. And while we're getting ready for that, I want to talk about robot wars. There's a video that came out today that made me think we're closer than you think to mechanical robots entering combat. We'll also touch on the breaking of the ceasefire, some news out of Russia, and then one more bit of financial news showing the, once again, collapse of the financial system here in the United States. But let's talk about these robot wars. Elon Musk came out yesterday with this huge announcement about the CyberTruck. They did videos and a show about all its attributes. And then there was a guy at the range. He took a CyberTruck out there. He had 9mm, 45, double-aught buck. And he demonstrated how the stainless steel metal panels on it are basically bulletproof to those 3 calibers. And those weapons that he used. And so, who's out there and who's doing that was, great, exciting, everybody loved it. Today a video came out and you kind of just have to see it. I'm going to show it to you, then we'll comment on it. So let's check this out here. This came out today, I found. CyberTruck going in.
Your weapon, sir. Thank you, steward. Fire in the hole.
All right, get some.
I'm alive. Awesome. Way to go. We did it, steward.
All right, I'm gonna let that repeat in the background here. We'll just turn off the volume. So what do we have here? We have 3 of Elon's robots that, another company has. Who knows? I don't know what name of the company is that is the robots. But you can see, one robot comes up, hands a rifle to another one. That one takes aim at the CyberTruck, totally fires a weapon, shooting stance, fires great aim, less recoil than a human would have. And then you can see the other robot comes out and says he's alive. The other one says yay. They talk. So everybody thinks this is really cool and awesome. I'm thinking, holy crap, this is scary. These robots programmed, they can obviously carry out simple tasks. They communicate basically with each other, probably with humans. Can obviously work a weapon, obviously have great aim and control of that weapon and what it's firing at. So how far are we actually away from, people putting these into combat, whether it be the military or rich people using them on their compounds to guard the outside of their compounds, or security guards. They're trained to fire at anything that moves. They're trained to fire at vehicles. I don't know what you can do, but this proves to me, as you watch it, that we're pretty close to, what do we got here? Terminator basically coming on here. So check it out right below what you think about this. Is this just highly edited, highly scripted, or, if this is what they're showing us, imagine what they don't show us. What can these robots do that they don't show the general public? This has never come out before. They had that little robot dogs from Boston Mechanics, I think it's called, or something like that. And the robot dogs chase people down and flip and had weapons and flamethrowers on them, all that stuff. But, these are humanoid-looking like things doing human tasks, and, it's ramping it up there. So just keep it, something to keep in your background that we're not too far off from, mechanical robots entering combat, at least in defensive positions, making decisions on what to shoot, what to not shoot, identify friend or foe, that kind of thing. So I found this highly interesting on that aspect. Yeah, it's pretty cool that they put it on. Yeah, cool, the Cybertruck's bulletproof, but look at the aspect of the robots and what they're doing. That's what I wanted to point out on this. So write in the comments below what you think about this. And, are you thinking, like I am, that we're closer to Terminator than you think? So anyway, let's move on to the next story here. And let's see what we got. Here we go. This is about the ceasefire. Also, please like the video, share, comment, all that great stuff that we've been doing, and subscribe to the channel if you have done so far, and join us for, I do about 2 or 3 videos a week. I try to keep everybody updated and stuff on news, prepping, all that great stuff, as you know if you've been a long-time viewer. Anyway, so Israel pounds southern Gaza as officials say that a long war is expected, maybe a year or more. So this isn't a short excursion into Gaza. They're planning to be there for a while. The truce is broken, they say, by Gaza by firing rockets and not releasing hostages when they're supposed to. We'll get into that. That's what Israel's saying. Hamas really hasn't pushed back on that. They haven't really come out saying, no, it wasn't us. We didn't do it. We wanted to be in ceasefire. So war's back on. and we'll get to the totals of how many hostages were released, how many they have. But bombings have started last night. Small arms fire, troops, all that started happening once again. As it says here, all hell has broken loose on the first day of renewed fighting in Gaza post-truce, what it says. Over 100 have been killed. 50 rockets have been launched into Israel from Gaza. Earlier in the day, Israel has dropped leaflets into the city telling Palestinians, you need to go further south. Get out of the north. Go even further south than the Wadi, I believe. The Gaza River there, the Wadi. Because we're coming and we're staying for over a year. It's going to be a long war, it says here, Netanyahu, which could reach over the next year or more. So he's prepping his civilian population. He's prepping his citizens that this is going to go on for a while. He's telling the world, we're here, we're going to be here for a while, and we probably don't care what you think about what we're doing. It's going to be a while. Let's see what else is going on here. He said they're planning a campaign against Hamas that will stretch for a year or more, with the most intensive phase of the ground offensive continuing into early 2024. Maybe that's when he thinks that they'll have out most of the tunnels destroyed and rooted out most of the troops, and they'll probably just continue with an air campaign and air surveillance. And you go through and you see some of the bombing here. Let's see if I can play a little bit for you here. You can see some of the bombing going off here. It was pretty intensive throughout the night, but they're doing their bunker busters. They're trying to take out tunnels and defensive positions because Hamas had about a week to basically recalibrate, reconfigure, put more defensive positions in, and all that stuff. And it also says this, some unfortunate news. Israeli military has informed the Bibas family that is assessing Hamas claim that the youngest hostage is a 10-month-old baby and a 4-year-old brother, that they may no longer be alive. So very sad news if that's true. That's coming out from out. They're saying they're assessing it. So I'll see if I can figure out more later on if that's happened or not. But that'd be very sad if they weren't released. They should have been some of the first released, being that young. I don't know why they were still held back, but they were. Now the totals of who was released, and the numbers were released, and the numbers still there. It says Israel says there's still 137 hostages in captivity, in Hamas captivity. Includes Americans. Like I said, we don't know how many. They said 8 or 9. They released 2, so maybe there's 7, 8 left over there. We don't know. It's kind of strange the United States doesn't know, or they're just not telling us. Also, if you notice, the Americans, were not the first to be released. They're being held in captive still. Once this kind of shows you how the decline of the United States and their bully pulpit, their superpower status. Times before, every time there was an American hostage, they were released. From fear of retribution. We don't negotiate with terrorist thing. Not this time, not anymore. They kept them on. You don't see SEALs, Delta Force going in there to find them, take them. I'm sure they're trying, but they're still holding the Americans. They don't seem to have any fear of doing that. And they said here that of that 137 hostages, 115 men, 2 women and 2 children, or 20 women and 2 children. So a lot of women and children still left in there, and they returned a total of 110 hostages. So a little less than half got returned. Don't know if the ceasefire will ever come back or not, or if this is going to go for the long haul. We'll have to see. But, like I said, the battle looks like it's going to go on for over a year, according to Netanyahu. So that's a lot of time for other nations to get involved. A lot of time for Hezbollah, Iran, Syria, Jordan. That's a long time. We'll have to see what's going on with that. But let's move over here into Russia. What they announced today is they're going to increase the size of their military. Russia's not done. They're basically at a stalemate right now with what they've taken in Ukraine. They want to push further, and they're increasing the size of their military. What they're doing is that Putin signed a decree or an order, whatever you call it, an executive order, it says here, saying that they're going to increase the size of the military by 170,000 members, effective immediately. That's going to a total of 2.2 million, which 1.3 million are armed soldiers, actual trigger pullers out there, and armor, utility tankers, those kind of people. They say the expansion is related to the increased security threats due to Finland coming into NATO, Sweden coming soon, the massing of U.S.-led troops on the Russian borders, all that stuff. Probably all the naval blockades they're practicing, all that stuff. So they're increasing the size. Maybe because they want to go through the Baltics and get into Poland. I don't know. But Russia's definitely not slowing down either. So you got Israeli full steam ahead. You got Russia expanding their military, going forth. not looking good for peace anytime soon in both those regions. And of course, we always talk about China and Taiwan. They're flying, China's flying sorties over Taiwan area every day now. It's getting larger. Some days it's 20, 30. Some days it's 5 or 6. But it's happening every day. One day it'll happen for real. And I want to end this. We've been going for about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and wrap this up really quick. We talked about financial problems in the United States in the last video. But this one here, just one story. We're going to talk about the unrealized losses in banks for Q3, just last quarter. What these are is these are losses on the paper losses because they're with treasuries or other assets that have lost money the banks haven't sold to realize that loss, but it impacts their liquidity and what they can do and thus causes more bank failures. So they're saying that U.S. banks exploded by their unrealized losses exploded by 22% in the third quarter. It's mostly represented by this chart. You can just look at this chart. And they say they're all of U.S. treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. So home loans, commercial loans, and treasuries. These are giant red bars. Starting in 2021, these are the unrealized losses. So they're losses because bonds have gone up and, they bought bonds at 1% and now they're like at 4.5%, 5%. So they're worth a lot less. So thus they're a unrealized loss, which means you haven't realized it until you sell them. And, if they hold them to maturity, they won't make a loss. But I'll let this guy explain here. It says, let me read what he does, explain it better than I can. The problem is with these unrealized losses, they drastically decrease the bank's liquidity. If the bank has to sell bonds in order to raise capital, then the bank will experience significant losses. And this is what took down Silicon Valley Bank last March, and which will take down a lot of other banks. What the Federal Reserve did to help these banks so they wouldn't have to realize those losses if they need capital is, if you remember, the Federal Reserve set up a bailout program. They allow the banks to borrow against those bonds that are underwater at full value, even though they're not, and use that capital in the meantime. Well, as you can see, this red line is how much they borrowed. There was a fund of 60, this is how much is left, 60 billion. And you can see they've been using it and it's been crashing down. They're still using it. I think they used 5 billion, it says here. What's it say? Yeah, over 5 billion in November was still used. Well, when that money runs out, where are the banks going to get their money to raise capital? Well, they're going to have to sell those bonds that are underwater, that are at losses, and take that loss. They take those losses, and along with people pulling their money out, banks fail. So what does this mean? I think this means, I'll just put this up so you can stare at it here. Because the amount of the losses, you can see it goes back to 2008. This is the last financial crisis. Look at these little tiny bars. Look at this going on right now. So yeah, there's pain coming. There's a lot of pain coming. And more banks will close. So just want to put that. I saw this come out today. I just want to point out to kind of go with my last video about the financial situation, about take your money, buy some assets, buy some hard stuff. And it doesn't have to be precious metals. And though gold had a great day today, highest close in history, I believe, above $2,060. In fact, well, let's see if I can find it really quick. Maybe I can pull it up and we can check out the gold price. Here we go. Let's check this out. Let me bring you guys in. So here, gold is at 2,071. I think that's an all-time high close. I believe it is. 2060 was before. So, and you can just look, it's just spiking. It's just rolling up. So people are running into assets, people with a lot of money. These are, these aren't just the average person buying all this gold. It's the big guys buying the gold. And when they start running to gold, well, that the crash is coming. Also, along with that, there's the Fed, Jerome Powell was out today and he was interviewed by, not interviewed, but, was with Congress, and he was basically saying, everybody's betting that rate cuts come in March. They're going to start cutting rates because we're going to be so far into recession, we got to start cutting rates to spur the economy. And with that, gold and silver, they always spike when rates are getting to start cut. And people are saying there might be 5 or 6 cuts next year. Well, that'll cause precious metals to go up even further and put more, and make the dollar less valuable is what's going to happen. So get ready for all that. Plan accordingly. Do what you got to do. Make sure you have what you need, because not only bad stuff on the war front, but on the financial front and on the home front with civil unrest and other civil problems, as you can see on a daily basis. That's all I have. Hopefully you got something out of this. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground and head on a swivel.